for joining us today. I'm Sophia with Garden State Film Festival, and I am here with two amazing artists who have behind the making of the short film Silly Girl. We have the writer, director, and one of the stars of the film, Josh Sullivan, and the other wonderful star, Alessandra Rosenfeld. Thank you guys so much for joining me. How are you guys?
Good, good. Happy Saturday.
Yes. Happy Saturday. I love it. So let's get us right started by Josh, you telling us a little bit about Silly Girl.
Yeah, so in the summer of 2020, I went to go visit some family and just to get out of, the craziness of the pandemic. And I came back and I was like, I got to do something. I got to get to work on some projects. And then I also decided that I was going to get a dog. So I started working on a proof of concept for a TV pilot that I wrote. And I figured out where I was going to get this puppy from and started work on the proof of concept. And I had cast Alessandra in the role of the niece for the lead character. So I was kind of in the momentum of working on this proof of concept, and we shot that in like October of 2020. And I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? Let's keep this going. So I started to think of a concept of, kind of very meta, like a guy getting a puppy. He's kind of wanting to, meet some people, meet a, romantic interest, and kind of started working on that idea as just, a single guy and his dog. And then as I started to work with Alessandra, along with the other cast, I was like, man, this girl is really talented and I'd love to work with her again. So I kind of, used all these elements that I had kind of at my disposal and started to develop this story for Silly Girl. And I thought, this could be much more of a heartwarming kind of, cool perspective of, a dad-daughter story, and have the daughter kind of lead the narrative as far as telling the story of trying to get her dad back into the dating game, and use my puppy who came to live start living with me in November of 2020. So that's kind of how the idea originated.
Wow. So it all originated from this puppy, and this is the actual puppy we see in Silly Girl.
Yeah, that's my actual puppy. She was like 6 months old when we shot, and yeah, we
Tilly
were
the
like,
Golden Doodle, right?
Tilly. Yeah, that's her.
What a name.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Alessandra, talk to me about how you felt about playing Tessa when you first were introduced to the role. Were you excited to play her? Did you relate to her? What was going on in your head?
Oh, I was so excited to play Tessa. Obviously, working with Josh, because I had loved him the first time I worked with him. The character was like very easy to relate to. We had pretty similar personalities. I mean, she's always really can relate to that. She's always just super positive and always looking for the bright side, dad up and back in the dating game. So I think that I can definitely relate to her, and it was, I feel like we're related.
Oh, awesome. I know I related to her too. Obviously, she's not in my age range, but it brought me back to my childhood without giving anything away. That one of the opening shots when she's singing with the hairbrush.
Yeah.
You know how many times I did that? Alessandra, do you do that?
The shower, I sing getting ready. I mean, like, I sing all day.
Oh my gosh. So was all of that written? Was a lot of this written on the page, or did we improv anything? What was the filming process like?
Well, that intro scene of her was not written actually in the original script, and I had worked on another short film as an actor, and the director had this really poignant song at the end of the short film, and it was like an old like R&B kind of song, soul retro song, and I was like, man, I would love to have something like that in our film, and I just started to think of this idea of introducing the character of Tessa with that song and kind of see her in her world. She's putting on the record, she's dancing around her room. So it was kind of interesting because we actually ended up getting rights to that song before we shot, which is not typical, how that works. Usually, shoot a film and then you find music that works with what you have. But we had to make sure we could use that because it was going to be an integral part of the opening. So that kind of developed, and I want to brag on Alessandra a little bit because she's actually a legit trained, like, serious dancer. So I just kind of let her do her thing, but it was funny when we started to edit the film and like look at the footage because I could see she just kind of being silly and goofy and stuff, but then she like threw in the body roll and everything. And I was like, I asked her later, I was like, what were you thinking? She was like, well, I kind of felt like maybe she didn't really have that many moves. But then she was like, but I had to throw in something, to show I
Yeah.
had some skills.
Oh man, what a talented individual, Alessandra. Let me ask you, what got you into acting? You're a dancer too. So what got you into this world? When did you first get started?
I actually started with musical theater. I was a musical theater kid for like, I don't really know, but like 7-year-old Alessandra was just like seeing people on TV and want to be on TV. So I kind of just like asked my mom to like, get me into acting research, and we got an agency in Boston, and yeah, we kind of just started getting auditions. But I started with musical theater, and then I moved to dance. So they kind of all just combined.
And now do you do it all? Musical theater, film, dance? Are you still doing everything, or do you find yourself focusing on one?
I don't do musical theater anymore because I do dance like a lot. Kind of like I balance dance and acting together. Like I don't really put one over the other. Acting would come first.
So Josh, how did you first find Alessandra? I know that you originally casted her for your proof of concept for your series, but yeah, how were you first introduced to her?
Yeah, it was just a regular casting call. Like, most auditions, I'd put the roles for the proof of concept up on, Actors Access and started to, get submissions and select people that I wanted to read for. And it was really funny because it happened to be my birthday. I went into the city and was gonna have like a hangout night with a couple of friends, and it rained really bad, so like 2 people had to cancel, and I ended up actually hanging out with our DP and his wife, who's also an actress and friend of mine. And so I got home kind of late from, we ended up just going to their apartment and getting some pizza, kind of low key, but celebrating a little bit. And I get home and it was kind of late, and like Alessandra's audition was the first one that was in the inbox, and I watched it, and I mean, it was probably 2 o'clock in the morning, by the time I got home and got my computer open, and I was like, that's the girl. Like I just knew it. She just had that it thing, that spark. And I was, I looked at other talents and stuff like that, but she's the one that I ended up choosing for that role. And she's she's got the goods.
She is Tessa. She is the role. I can
Yeah.
imagine that you were like, meh, let me not watch these other,
Yeah.
but you probably had to. So what was the filming process like for you guys? Did we have a lot of rehearsals? How long did it take to make Silly Girl?
Yeah, so so Alessandra lives in Boston. I'm based here in New York City. So we did a lot of like prep ahead of time because I, knowing that I was going to direct it, I really wanted to be prepared as an actor. And also, even though we had worked together, just to really establish that connection and chemistry, I knew that was going to be really important for the believability for the dad and, Tessa. So we really just kind of rehearsed a lot of that. Those scenes over Zoom and stuff like that. And, I don't know if you want to tell Alessandra kind of the the ever evolving script and how you felt about that, but
there were so many rough drafts. I kept printing the script, and Josh was like, wait, we have more, and he kept reposting the script, like the finished script. And even when we actually had the like finished script, we improvised. I feel like it was so
Wow.
Josh never
yeah,
gave me the full script.
So one of the things you learn, Tessa, is to wait to print until you know.
Wait to print for that.
She's a very prepared and organized actress, and she kept printing it off and highlighting her lines. And I was like, I respect that, but don't do it again until I tell you we're done. But it was kind of a unique situation too, because we got to kind of workshop the scenes, and just kind of work out who the characters were and what felt right and what it really needed to be, on the page in the end. So I mean, I really appreciated her, just her being up for that challenge and showing up and going through this, different drafts and everything. So.
Wow. And so once Alessandra came to New York, how long did that filming process take?
So we had planned for three 3 shoot days. We shot 2 days in Central Park, and they weren't long days because it all had to be like during the daytime as far as the story goes. So we shot 2 days in the city, and then we had like a day fully like in the apartment, all of apartment scenes. And I was a little bit ambitious. I mean, she is a workhorse. Like she does not ever complain. She really is, a trooper. But it was kind of getting very long, and we were planning to shoot like 11 pages that day, and we just couldn't make it happen. So a lot of that like MOS stuff, where it's just like sequences of us doing like the working out and like kind of the repetitive things in the kitchen and leaving to go to the park and those little moments where there really wasn't dialogue. We ended up shooting that the like sort of a half day, about 5 or 6 hours, and luckily that worked out with her and her mom's schedule to get back to Boston. So we just kind of had the cinematographer there, my AD, and the two of us and Tilly, and we just kind of really like punched through those last couple of moments that we needed. So it ended up being like 3.5 days shooting wise.
Wow. One of the things I really liked about the film too is those ending credits where we see a lot of silly moments, which
Yeah.
I think complement obviously the film really well. So I'd love to ask you, Alessandra, do you have any favorite silly memories or maybe a favorite scene from shooting?
Probably whenever we got ice cream or whenever we because they were just like the funniest scenes to me. Like when we were like talking about the dad, kind of a part where I feel like it wasn't scripted and it was just the two of us just going off of each other and having fun. It's just the best. So who wouldn't want to eat ice cream?
Yeah, I love that. What was the ice cream flavor we got?
We had
quite a few. Like
we had drumsticks once when we were at home. Chocolate around them. Those were good.
Yeah, and we had like a lot of bar situations, and I have to give it up to our assistant director, and she also played Jamie, Julianne. Her name is Julianne Cross, and luckily she's an actual runner in real life, because we had kind of there's all these ice cream trucks that kind of set up near Central around Central Park, and so we'd already kind of mapped out where we were going to go to get our ice cream, but we had to keep going back and forth because it was April, but it was still like melting, and so she kept running back and forth to get the ice cream and try to get it back to us for the for the shot. And I mean, luckily she's like really in great shape.
Yeah, shout out to her, and shout out to shout out to all the sorry. You go, Alessandra.
Every time I say you go.
No, you go. You are the star. I want to hear what you say.
There was a lot of ice cream ate because we had to. There was a lot of ice cream because we had to keep multiple times. We just kept eating ice cream bars.
So that's great, and yeah, I really wanted to shout out the other awesome cameos you have, because you have some wonderful actresses in the film too that only got a little moment of spotlight, but they killed it. So shout out to everyone involved in this film.
Yeah, and shout out to Tilly.
Oh, of course. I guess she can't be. You didn't ask her to come to the interview.
She's chilling on the couch. She's
all right. She's too busy.
I couldn't believe, honestly, when I looked back, like at how we got some of those shots with her. She was only 6 months old, so it just worked out really well. And
was she the biggest diva on set?
Yeah.
Alessandra, no, not you. It was Tilly.
She had multiple handlers.
So we only have like 2 more minutes, but I want to hear from you, Josh, because you wrote this, you directed it, and you were the star in it. Was it difficult wearing all those hats, or this is something you've done before?
I have not done this in this capacity before. I've done all the things separately, and it was a lot. I don't regret any of it, and we're actually going to do it again. I've written another short film that I actually casted, of course, Alessandra in. I'm like trying to be Ryan Murphy over here, just using the same amazing actors and stuff. So we have another short film that we're planning to shoot this spring, and I wrote it, I'm directing it, and I'm starring in it. Alessandra's going to be starring in it. So it's a lot, but it's also gratifying, and it all is like very satisfying in different ways. So you just kind of have to like prepare a lot and then just relax, while you're on set shooting, and just, Julianne and I kind of came up with this mantra. We just kept saying, "This is fun," and anytime we would get overwhelmed, we would just remind ourselves that this is fun. Like this is what we want to do, and we were having so much fun. and I think that really showed up in the end product. So
it absolutely did. It looked like such a fun set. Alessandra, did you have fun shooting Silly Girl?
Oh yeah, I've never had. I always, when people ask me like, what's the most like you've had? I was like, I always say Silly Girl because it was just so much fun.
It looked so much fun, guys. And I'm so excited for audiences to see this. Before we hop off, are you guys going to be at Garden State Film Festival for the screening?
yeah, we are.
Oh, amazing. Alessandra, you coming out from Boston to come to Asbury Park? Oh my gosh. I love it. Well, everybody, you can see Silly Girl and also meet the stars of the film. So definitely check it out. It will be playing Saturday, March 25th in Asbury Hotel, 2:45 to 4:45 p.m. So come out Saturday, meet these amazing, talented artists. And I'm so honored I got to interview you guys today. Thank you so much for taking the time out.
Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
Can't wait to meet you in person.
Congratulations. I'll see you at the festival.
Okay, awesome.
Bye.
Bye.